Hello, hello. Welcome to the Running Start informational session at Green River. My name is Devin, and I'm also here with my good buddy Kyle. We'll be talking about all the different things that you should know about when you embark on this journey of Running Start here at Green River. So let's get started. A little overview of what we're going to be talking about are the Running Start basics. What are the benefits and considerations that you guys will be coming across? What actually makes a Running Start student successful? Because there are some steps, I promise you. Advising here at Green River and how to take control of that advantage, if you will. At some academic performance and resources, right? Cost of attendance, and then the eligibility requirements and how to get started with Running Start. And so hopefully the information that you gained today will be helpful. What is Running Start? The Learning by Choice legislation of 1990 allowed high school juniors and seniors the opportunity to challenge themselves academically by taking college courses. You can attend any of the 34 community and technical colleges in Washington. And why anybody would do that is because you get dual credit for taking these college courses, not only for your high school grad requirements, but also for your college career. The biggest thing for me is the cost, the financial benefits that Kyle will be talking about a little bit later. So please pay attention to the information that's going on. Why Green River College? Well, we are a dedicated Running Start team. We each individually care about our youth and our students that come, and we like to make sure that they have the most prosperous and exciting, career here at Green River. So personalized advising. And with that, we split our student load by last name. And so whatever advisor you start with is how you'll end. And so you'll get to know your advisor as your advisor gets to know you. And that makes the advising all better because we are a community effort here. Transferring career, training degrees and certificates. You come here to get your dual credit for high school, but you also are earning a transfer or career training degree or certificate while you are taking classes here. We'll talk about ed plans and how we bridge the gap between those both needs for your high school and your career. Study abroad opportunities. We love our students to go and get information on other cultures, new insights, and new backgrounds to collaborate with. And so that's amazing. We are also committed to diversity and equity. It is a safe space for all and anybody to come and ask any questions or get any information that they need for their education, because that's the number one goal here at Green River. We also lastly provide student leadership opportunities for folks who just kind of want to put something on their resume. I understand that, when you graduate college, you're going to want to have something on there. And we give you guys some leadership opportunities to get involved with so that you can, gain some skills and some skill sets. What are the real benefits of Running Start? Well, you get up to 15 college credits of tuition funded per quarter, and that's the huge thing. Essentially, you get a full schedule without the tuition, and that's amazing. I wish I did this. And so based on your high school enrollment, you basically figure out how much credits you need for your personal needs for your degree, and then what credits you need that are going to go to your high school to fulfill those credits that you need for your fine arts, for your sciences, and for your English credits, right? We also get a wide variety of classes because at your high school, you're probably taking a certain amount of classes, where in college, we get, you get criminal justice courses, you get, philosophy courses that you may not get access to in the high school. So you get to partake in a bunch of different things that you might not would have normally. With the flexible class schedule at that, high school runs a little differently, but we get to create your class schedule based off of your needs. If you work, or if you need to be at a certain place, if you want to be online, or if you want to be in person because you like learning from the actual instructor, we basically get to help you pick the schedule that works for you. Last but not least, like I mentioned, the dual credits that you get for your high school requirements, they also transfer to a university, may transfer at that. There are a lot of rules that go into play here, but your counselor, your advisor here, like me and Kyle, we will be able to help inform you on how your credits that you take in here at Green River will actually transfer to both your high school and a university in the future. Right? But with every benefit, there's a consideration, and so it is fast paced, right? If you know you may need a little bit more time or support, we still like to encourage you to sign up for Running Start, but also take advantage of our career, our campus resources for tutoring sessions and things of that nature, because it is an adult learning environment, and we treat every student here, even high school students, as an adult, which means you take control of your destiny right here and your success here. High school and college schedules differ. We have similar breaks and we have different breaks, and we have different holidays. Well, not different holidays, but we have essentially different times in which you will be in school than high school. In high school, you're in school all day, but then in college, you may have like 2 classes one day or 1 class one day, and then just no classes the next. So it really depends, but they differ. So you have to get used to those changes while going to high school. Potentially, transportation is not provided, right? So we ask for every student that is going to come to campus will be able to have means of transportation. And we do have information on how to get here, right? But we don't have information on we don't have resource to actually send transportation for those out. Free reduced lunch meals are not provided, unfortunately. Running Start is not completely free. Tuition is the key word there, but there are other costs associated, in which Kyle will speak on a little bit later. And then FERPA, right? So while you're in high school, it's likely that there are your high school counselors and your parents kind of paying attention to how your school is progressing. But in college, like I mentioned, it's an adult learning environment. So you're kind of in charge of your own success, like I've mentioned a couple of times. So with that, we don't provide your information to anybody besides you. And that's what the FERPA law means, essentially, is your information is private, right? Between your counselor and you. And so, yeah. What makes a college student successful is checking their Green River email. You are going to want to check this sync daily, right? Just as much as you get updates on your social media, you're going to want to get updates on your academics as well, because you don't want to miss anything. I have a lot of students that aren't paying attention to their email, and then when it comes time to register, that they're blocked or they have a hold on their account that they weren't paying attention to. So you want to check your Green River email. You want to be in attendance and prepared for your classes. You want to get to know your instructors and classmates. I tell my students all the time that, hey, you are, chances are students that come to college are all trying to get a degree, that are trying to get into a job of some sort. And so this is essentially one of the biggest and best professional networking environments that anyone can be in. And so you want to get to know your instructors and your classmates. You want to be proactive. You want to find the information. Don't wait the information to find you, because chances are somebody else might find it. And they could be able to share it, but you definitely want to be able to grab control of your own future, right? And not just wait. In order to do that, you want to make sure you utilize your campus resources, and you want to utilize your time management at the same time, because we are here to help you, right? But then we also need to know that you need to help yourself and stay on time. And so definitely utilize everything on this list to be a successful Running Start student. Let's talk a little bit about college and high school differences, like the institutional policies and procedures that colleges and high schools have separately. The ones I can think about are just scheduling in general. So when you are kind of like taking classes at your high school, you really only have a say for when you want to change a class, but you don't really know when you're going to have what class you're going to take, or what you're going to sign up for, what credits you need, what classes are going to fill for that credit, et cetera. So, but in college, you have full liberty, and actually it's your responsibility to do all that, So you find the degree that you want of your choosing, and then you choose the classes that are going to go on your schedule, why and what, kind of area subject you want to go into, dive deeper into. And so we have just policies that different on that nature, right? There's also certain things like, for example, missing school. If you are not here, this is actually very important. If you are not present on the very first day of class, well, each class has like a wait list in which you don't want to miss, because then the teacher can just, remove you from that class and have somebody else come in. So we just have different procedures that you're going to want to be aligned on, and dates and deadlines, right? We have different deadlines and different dates for certain things that we operate on a quarterly fashion. And so you're going to want to pay attention to the things on a quarterly basis, right? Versus a semester in high school. Instructors are a little bit different in how they teach. In high school, there's more guidance for sure, but in college, they definitely will treat you like an adult, like we've mentioned before. And they want to make sure that you have communication on lock. You're going to want to communicate with everybody as effectively as you possibly can, because like I said, you are the only one that's controlling your own success. So you need to make sure you communicate with the entities around you, right? And so some of the entities that are going to be around you are like me and Kyle, Running Start Advisors here. Like, we are here to help support you in any way you need, right? However, as you see, we are connected to the student, but we are not connected to the student's Green River instructor. That is the communication responsibility of the student. Same with the parent guardian, and same with your high school counselor. As you see, you are the center of all of these entities that make sure that information passes accurately and effectively, right? So you want to develop your self-management skills. You also want to recognize that the role of the parent / guardian with the FERPA, right? Like, it can be necessary, but also at the same time, if you want to like be in control of your own information, then you totally can. But I understand the support that a parent has is undefeated. And so definitely fill out the FERPA form if you want your parent or guardian involvement in your academic affairs. And then the high school counselor versus the Running Start advisor, we differ on many different levels, but the one basic one that I can think about is that your high school counselor is going to be the one paying attention to your high school needs and your high school completion, whereas the Running Start advisor, me and Kyle, are going to be paying attention to your college needs and your college completion, and the same as your high school completion as well. But we're not going to be able to just have your high school information at will. So you're going to want to make sure that you have that stuff separated as well. And advising. Please take advantage of the advising here. We understand this is your very first college experience, right? Before you actually apply to a 4-year. So you're gonna need support. We know that, and we're here to give it. So make sure you create an educational plan, right? Some students may not need it. I just think I'm more of I'd rather need and have and not need than need and not have type of guy. And so, like, when you first come, make sure that you have a 2-year plan. Like, this could be plan C if you have plan A and plan B that you want to create. But create the 2-year plan. What we do in that 2-year plan is we look at your high school grad requirements and we cross-reference it with your AA that you're going for and the future career or transfer planning that you may have. If you want to go to UW, if you want to go to Wazoo, we make sure that we align everything in this 2-year plan so that your transition into that is seamless, right? And to have a seamless transition, make sure you establish your math placement early. On our most standard degree of the AA direct transfer degree, we are asking students to at least have one 100 level math class completed. And for that, we need to make sure that you have had your advanced algebra, which is in most high schools, algebra 2 or algebra 3-4. And you're going to want to make sure you have a B in that on your transcript so that we can give your math placement a little bit early. And if you do not have that, well, you can definitely take the WAMAP math placement test to also verify that you are ready for college math courses. And so please make sure you have that. We also help you find how your courses will transfer to universities in and out of state, right? So please make sure that you take advantage of your advising here, because we love to help. And so we want to make sure we give it to you. Yeah, and I'm going to pass it on to Kyle to talk a little bit about academic standards.
All right. Hi, everybody. I, like Devin mentioned, am one of Devin's colleagues in the Running Start office. So let's talk a little bit about academic standards. The academic standards policy is basically a policy that applies to all students here at Green River. It's a 3-step policy that basically, if the quarter doesn't go so well, you're not passing classes satisfactorily or things like that, there are basically different steps or kind of interventions along the way that we as the Running Start office use to help kind of try to get the student back on track. It's not designed to be a punishment. It's not designed to make students feel bad. It's more of a like, hey, if this isn't working right now, what positive changes can we implement to try something new, to try something different? And, doing well here at Green River, it's important for its own sake. But, the classes that you're taking here at Green River have lasting impacts down the road. They keep you eligible for being in the Running Start program because they are dual credit classes, as Devin described earlier. The credits that you earn here at Green River help influence and impact your high school graduation. So if you're not passing classes at Green River, you're not getting closer to high school graduation. If a 4-year college is in your future, even further on down the line, your transcript that you have here at Green River impacts university admissions decisions. So the better you're doing here, the better that looks for the next college that you're looking at. And then financial aid and scholarship eligibility often have kind of academic requirements in order to apply or in order to be more competitive for that sort of financial aid. So there's all these reasons why, it's important for you to put your best foot forward and for students to do as well as they can. So again, the academic standards policy and how we look at it is basically an attempt to make sure that you are putting yourself in the best position to succeed that you can, and that we as a college are meeting you where you are and doing our best to help you be successful as well. So moving on from academic standards, let's talk about cost of attendance. So as Devin mentioned, Running Start is tuition free. You don't have to pay for the credits that you are taking, as provided that you're following the rules that are kind of established in the Running Start program. But there are some quarterly costs that we want students and their families to be aware of. There are required fees every quarter. There are 2 sets of fees. We'll look at them in a little bit. There are also the more variable costs that change a little bit more from quarter to quarter, like books and supplies. We also want to think about transportation costs, whether that's driving, whether that's carpooling, whether that's rideshare, whether that's taking King County Metro, because we have a couple of bus lines that go to Green River's campus, right? We want to kind of take into account that cost, as well as, the cost of, food and other things like that while you're on campus. In addition, if students are choosing to take classes that kind of go beyond the Running Start program, whether those are additional classes over kind of the limit that's set by the high school counselor, or if those are classes that are not yet at the college level, in those cases, students are responsible for the tuition, the cost of tuition for those classes as well. But for most Running Start students, they are not paying for tuition. It's important to note that financial aid is not available, and that's because a high school diploma is required for the federal and state financial aid applications. And so because there are kind of fewer avenues to find outside funding for Running Start, we want to make sure that you're aware of these costs up front because there's something that we want to plan for accordingly. So as we're looking at quarterly costs, let me just kind of give you a brief example of what we're talking about here. This example is assuming that a student is a full-time Running Start student, and we're looking at a fairly standard first quarter sort of schedule. English 101 would be a junior year English. History 137 would be a US history requirement, typically your junior year history requirement. Art 114 is pottery. So if you needed a fine art credit, or if you're just kind of looking to take something that was kind of engaging with a different part of the brain. So 2 classes that are in person, 1 class that's in the hybrid format. There are 2 sets of fees that we're looking at here. Student voted fees are based on the number of credits a student is taking. So the more credits a student is taking, the higher the student voted fees are. Student voted fees are essentially paying for many of the support services that we have on campus, our recreation and athletics center, our different forms of peer tutoring, some of the services that the library provides, access to our technology labs, things like that. Class fees are fees that help to basically maintain the cost of running the classrooms. English 101 does not have a class fee. History 137, because it's in a hybrid format, which means it's taking place partially online, there is a fee associated with that helps pay for the learning management system, kind of the online system that we use for our classes. And then Art 114 as a pottery class, there's a class fee to help pay for the cost of the kiln and things like that in the pottery lab. So student voted fees of $184.50, class fees of $43.50, gives us a grand total of $228 in this example for a quarterly cost. We would generally recommend that students budget for between $200 and $300 a quarter when we're including student voted fees and class fees, in addition to the cost of books and other supplies and things like that. So this is can be a significant amount of money, and it's something that we want to make sure that people are thinking about and budgeting for accordingly. That said, we also want to make sure that you're aware of our fee waiver and book loan program that's designed to help make college more affordable. And so the benefits of the fee waiver and book loan program is that it waives those student voted fees, that larger portion that we were talking about on the previous page. Students are still responsible for paying class fees, but the student voted fees are covered. In addition, the fee waiver and book loan program gives access to textbooks through the Running Start Lending Library. And that can be for 1 quarter for up to a year, depending on the textbook and depending on the classes that a student is taking. For example, if a student's taking pre-calculus here at Green River, that is a 2-quarter class. And so students would need the textbook for 2 quarters. So the lending library, we kind of work with students, kind of identify the classes that they're taking, the books that they need, and we work that out accordingly. So let's look at the different ways in which you can be eligible for the program. So the most common way that students are eligible for the fee waiver and book loan program is if they've been eligible for free or reduced lunch in the last 5 years. And if that is the case, essentially we just need a confirmation from the high school counselor. There are other ways in which students can be eligible. They can be eligible based on income, eligible if they're receiving public assistance or some form of state aid. If a student is a member of is part of the foster youth system, they are eligible for the fee waiver and book loan program. Students who were eligible for the college-bound scholarship in middle school are also eligible for the fee waiver and book loan program. Information about the actual eligibility and application requirements are in the Running Start enrollment packet on our website. It's on the back page. And so we encourage students and their families to take a look at that document and see if they can provide the information that's needed to kind of use the benefits of this program. So to show you how the fee waiver and book loan program kind of changes the quarterly cost scenario, here are those 3 classes from the fall quarter from earlier. And so what we see here is that we're going from a total of $228 down to $43.50 because those student voted fees are taken care of. So this is a savings of around 80%. So we're not paying for tuition. And then if you're a member of the fee waiver and book loan program, you're not paying for the student voted fees. So like we've mentioned before, Running Start is not a free college tuition or free college program. The tuition is generally free. And if you're a member of our fee waiver and book loan program, the fees that you pay are greatly reduced as well. So if you're eligible for this program, we encourage you to apply and get everything set up so that way you can use the benefits. So with that, let's take a look at, kind of what the next steps are. If you are like what you're hearing about Running Start, if you're wanting to go through the process to start applying and getting enrolled, then you'll want to follow these steps. You're going to apply to Green River College online through the Green River website, and then activate your CTC Link account. CTC Link is a statewide kind of registration and grade and all-in-one system that all the community colleges in Washington use. So you'll activate that CTC Link account. You'll complete online orientation. The next step is to determine whether or not you're eligible for English 101. One of the requirements from the state is that Running Start students are eligible for English 101 in order to participate in the Running Start program. The most common ways that students determine their eligibility is based on either the Smarter Balanced Assessment, if you scored a 3 or a 4, or taking our English placement test, which is known as the College Success Assessment. And instructions for determining whether or not you're eligible for English 101 will be sent to you after you apply. If you're eligible for English 101, great. You work with your counselor, high school counselor, get some signatures, and fill out the remainder of the Running Start enrollment packet. Once you've completed that packet, you're going to upload it to our Green River departmental file upload. It's a secure document site. The link here can also be found on the Running Start webpage on the Green River website. And then once you're done with that, once your application has been processed, once your eligibility has been confirmed, once your enrollment is done, you'll be signed up for a mandatory in-person or virtual group registration system known as the RAP. In the RAP session, a couple of advisors will go through some of the kind of more finer details about the transition over to Green River College, some of kind of the unique aspects of Green River College, tips and tricks and things like that. And after you're done with the RAP session, you're a Green River student, you're able to register for classes, and we get the show on the road. So that's what's coming up next for those of you that are wanting to move forward. And just to give you kind of a general sense of the schedule for the 2022-2023 school year, the vast majority of Running Start students do start in the fall, but it is technically possible, and in many cases, to register to begin the program in the winter or the spring. So this is kind of a general timeline for the next school year. Final dates haven't been set quite yet at the time of recording, which is the end of January. But this will at least give you a sense of kind of when this information needs to be taken care of. If you're interested in starting next fall at Green River, we'll begin accepting enrollment packets in February, so pretty soon. Okay, and then if you want to get in contact with us, there are several different ways you can do so. Our webpage on the Green River website is at the top of the screen. That email is to our main office, where a mixture of advisors and our front desk team are checking that email multiple times a day. We can be reached in person in the Student Affairs building on the first floor of the Green River, on the Green River campus, or we can be reached by phone. We're also on social media, on Instagram and Facebook at the handles that are on the bottom left of this page. And so on behalf of Devin and I, we'd like to thank you for taking the time to learn more about the Running Start program at Green River College. If you have any questions about any of the information here, or if you have questions that haven't been covered yet, please reach out to us. We're here to help answer those questions and to make sure that you have the information you need to make the best decision possible. That's ultimately the most important thing, is that we want students at the place where they can be the most successful. And in many cases, we believe that that's here. So we're happy to answer any questions that you have. And we thank you for your time. Have a great night.